Maybe we'll start. Yay, all right. We are live.
Whoa!
I think things are slow today, but we are this is Monday, December the 1st. I think it's the 1st. I don't even know.
It is the first.
Yay, wow. And this is the Empire Building Mastermind Hangout, and we are going to talk about in our wins today because I feel like I have really kind of done a lot. And wow, my phone's ringing.
I hear that.
Can't talk right now. I had like 4 phone calls in the last. Rarely does this ever happen during the day, but here we are. We're going to talk about celebrating our wins, and this hopefully this will be fun because I've got some kind of fun stuff that I've been working on, and Kathy, you're kind of involved in that, so I'll might just pop up some screen sharing stuff about
Okay.
artivation, which will be kind of fun and cool. Anyways, empire building, mastermind hangout, and a quick deep breath to kind of center us on who we are in the world, the gifts that we have that activate life all around us, and we're talking about our empire, which is our business, the way our gifts go out in the world, and how we receive value for the value that we add. So that's really what empire building is. It's about business. It's about being completely aware of who you are and how you show up in the world, and just becoming more and more connected to your purpose in life through the work you do. And empire building, there's an acronym. I go through it every week. I'm going to do it again this week. It's E is for ease of mind, creating and activating an ease of mind by just reminding yourself that it's so much easier than you think. Sometimes that's harder to remember than not, but if you come here every week, you're going to hear it every week, the same message. It's so much easier than you think. And it's so much easier when you're connected to your intuition and you're listening to those inspired nudges that move you forward in life and in your business, as opposed to listening to all the mind viruses that'll keep you stuck and wondering and questioning and trying to figure things out, which is, I think, the biggest mind virus out there, trying to figure things out. So, the M in empire building is all about making a meaningful offer that's your understanding your highest value that you add to the world. What is the offer that is the most valuable to the people who want to connect with you? And what is the offer that you have that makes you feel the most confident and most aligned and most activated and most just alive with who you really are? And for athletes, that's their sport. For performance artists, that's their performance. Like Lady Gaga and her, her stage, that's her highest value offer. And just aligning with that, knowing what you offer and how you impact the world is huge when we're talking about empire building in this way. That P is about preparing to profit. And that P is simply about the way we communicate and market what we do to other people. So they know that we're authentic, that we're not, they're being in the sales conversation without being salesy, without being, slimy about, yes, I have something great and I really think it can help you. And the I in empire building is about taking inspired action and inspiring action in others, and that's really that sales process. So you go from the offer, knowing what your offer is, to marketing it and communicating your offer to people who get it and understand it. Then there's the sales moments. Are you listening to your intuition, which will always tell you like what's the next step, as long as you're aligned with that easy and effortless. idea of getting where you're going, making that biggest impact in the world that you're here to create. And then the R is about taking responsibility for your results, having a great relationship with your results. It really is about you and the relationship that you have with yourself, with any numbers that have any impact in your business at all. The numbers of how many people sign up for your newsletter, how many people are buying your work, your service, how many people see it. If there's nobody, if you're not getting it out there to anybody, that number is 0. And your percentages are always going to be in proportion to how many people actually see it. So being comfortable with looking at those numbers, not like they're not frightening when you realize that the numbers and your calendar and all of that is really, the sacred contract being actualized in your business. So your calendar represents the sacred contract that you have with yourself. What do you put on your calendar? And then where you see your numbers showing up, that's reflecting what is really going on inside of you and inside of your business, so you can take responsibility, make some shifts, and move along. E is about expansion. When you've got all these little pieces together, then you can expand when you know who your audience is. And sometimes you don't even have to know who your audience is, but you can be interested and follow your interests. We'll talk about that a little bit today too. And the final R is when you just are able to rest and receive results because you're feeling confident, you know that you're in a groove, that you have this confidence, and people want to support you. And that's what makes things easy. When people want to support your work and they want to share you with the world. And I'm going to talk about some of my wins. And we're going to talk about wins today. And where does that fit in the empire building process? The empire building, steps. I think celebrating the wins is a piece of this. The E, which is a piece of this expansion, it's a piece of this energy, the energy of expansion. When you celebrate what's great in your business or what's great in the work that you're doing, when you see it and you appreciate it, you can feel a sense of expansion. So that's what we're going to talk about today, because I'm excited. I'm doing some fun things that I get to help other people expand. And I'm going to talk about it today because I'm excited. Did I mention I'm excited, Kathy?
Are you excited, John?
Yeah, I feel so funny that's all that's the word that is kind of in my mind today. Is I'm excited that I've got some of this stuff done that I had been kind of. Sometimes when we're building our business, we have an idea and we're trying to force something to happen. And when we force something, like we're forcing our energy to make something happen, well before the perfect moment is here for it to happen. And I think this is what I was trying to do, like create these landing pages. I hadn't even gotten to that part yet. And I just sat down yesterday and everything flew out of me. So I'll share with you my creations in here, and I'll share your Artivation page. So I'm going to do. So that's it's so much fun, and that's kind of my biggest. I guess my biggest win this week is that I have the privilege to do a webinar on next Sunday, and I get to share my point of view with the world about how these different artists, how their artwork activates something within the people who get to see their art. And that's kind of, to me, it's a totally new conversation that I'm having, and I'm excited about it. I'm having this conversation with entrepreneurs. There are our work, the work that we do, our presence activates higher vibrations when we're in a space. So what I'm hoping is through these conversations and through this webinar is that the people who get to see it and get to experience my point of view of your artist's work, like Kathy's artwork, um, will see how important it is to get your work out in the world, and not only to get it out in the world, but to really appreciate the value that your work has for yourself as an artist. Because it's first, it activates something in you, and if you're able to appreciate it, then you really get to feel the expansion of it appreciating other people or activating other people as well. So so that's my big win, and I'm going to share it with you. Do you have any big wins this week, Kathy?
Well, the only thing that's been a win for me is I've been working on a personal project. I've been doing some wardrobe building and doing like a capsule wardrobe thing and adding pieces to that and simplifying my wardrobe and making it more coherent so I can be more visible. My thought was like, I want some visibility. I know I need to be visible, and having proper clothing to wear makes me feel more confident. So anyway, so I've been planning this wardrobe and gathering the pieces for it, and it's been coming together. And I just realized the other day how much fun it was. Like, I was really having fun. I was all excited to do it, and having all this energy to finish a project. And it was cool because it was a project just for me. It wasn't a project for anybody else. It was a project just for me. But I did catch myself thinking I should document my process so I can share it with other people. Like, I should do a blog about this, and I realized that everything I do with other people in mind. Even something like that.
Oh my gosh!
So it was kind of an interesting awarenesses that were coming up.
Yeah, and that's a. I think that's a symptom of being an entrepreneur, one, and a creative person. Yeah. Because as a creative person, we're constantly looking. I mean, you either know you're creative naturally or you're not, because we're always looking for new ways to create life that helps other people. And it's not the case for everybody. I mean, there's some creative people who are they're so focused on their own path, but I get the same thing. I totally get that.
But I have a little world, so I'm in the school of service. So everything that's what I'm about, right? Is service for others. So it's kind of a natural thing for me to do.
So I commend you on doing it for yourself, because that probably was a very awakening, conscious exercise of hearing how this is happening for you. Like, you really want to share it with the world. Yeah. I really want to blog about this, but knowing
first of all, I need to go through it and just be in the process and just do it, and instead of, because I was taking myself out of it, thinking, I should write down what I'm thinking right now. I should journal about this.
I know.
Instead of doing it.
This little piece of this little thing that you're pulling up right now is, I think a lot of people need to hear this, because I'm sure you're not the only one. We're talking about, we get so wrapped up in our thoughts and thinking the thoughts are the most meaningful part of this, and that's going to help somebody. But in truth, maybe at some points in our lives, that is absolutely true, to help us unravel from a thought process, a pattern that we used to be in. But when we're consciously aware, you're awake now. Thank you. Kathy's awake. But when you're awake, almost to start to think about your thought process almost moves you back into this personality place.
Yeah.
And it feels like you're transcending into just like finding your own little groove, and you're going to help a lot of people in your own groove.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course, I have to let myself get into the groove and not keep popping out.
Yeah.
That's thinking about it all the time.
And that's the work, right? Yeah.
Because there was definitely a time where journaling and writing down the process of what I was going through it was very helpful. It was as I was working through it, I was writing everything, every single thing down, every thought that I had, every realization I had, I wrote down. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I thought, I'm going to share this with people someday. But then, so now every time as I'm going through everything, I'm thinking, oh, I should write that down so I can share it. Oh, I should write that down. But
Yeah.
I need to kind of do it sometimes. And
I think you're, well, and
I can
you're,
remember that later.
and I think so, and retrospectively, we'll figure out the things, if we're connected to our intuition, when we find the time when it's time to write it down,
Yeah.
and it'll just come naturally. You won't have to force it, and it won't be, it'll just be natural. It'll just be natural, and you'll say, now it's time. And which is kind of what happened when I was doing the artivation stuff. And I've had this thought in mind, and I've been working and trying to figure out how to do things. And the whole figuring out thing, I can't say this enough. When we try to figure things out, that is the biggest mind virus. And I suffer
I
from
have
it.
that one really bad.
And I suffer from it like 24/7. So I'm always trying to figure things out. Yeah, but the fun part about like understanding that, oh, I'm trying to figure something out, like having the guidance, my own internal guidance saying, Dawn, stop trying to figure it out. Like, okay, I got it. This could be so much easier. And that's been my guiding, I don't know, like my guiding, the North Pole that I've been, looking to find is, how can I make it easier? How can this be easier? And parts of this artivation project were feeling really hard to me. And then I realized that somebody else, Michelle Gatchell, has got an amazing ability to walk people through Second Life, which is a part of this. Like there's this Second Life aspect of this art gallery showing that we're doing, and she's got the ability to help people get there, and I don't. And I was stuck on the idea that I had to do that, and I couldn't figure it out. How am I going to be able to walk artists through? Well, if I just let her do it, apparently she got you through it. And I'm like, okay. So the artwork's going to go. We're going to have art in Second Life. We're going to have and it didn't it what it originally started out was, I had a big project. It was going to be lots and lots of hour-long interviews with the artists. And what it's going to be now is simply conversations, just, a kind of a webinar where I'm there, and I'm going to allow the artist, not allow them, but have the artist come on. And if they don't want to, that's fine too. Because I've picked these artists, they've all, it's not volunteered, they all entered to have their art be read to, how does it activate people, and be in this show. Anyway, so I'm going to spend 10 minutes with each artist and with each artist's pieces of art and talk about them through my eyes of activation. And I'm excited about it because I see how appreciating artwork, I'm not an artist, but I can see how the point of view that I have about art really fires you guys up, the artists.
Yeah.
And not fires you up, but gives you this relief that you can actually just create, and that your creations are doing something amazing for you. So.
Yeah, and for me, that's a really big thing, because painting just seems like something that's just like fun and like wasting time, that I should be doing something more meaningful and impactful with, But when you're telling me that it activates DNA, then it's like, oh, well, it's very useful then. It really serves a purpose other than just taking up my time.
Right, and it does, and I see how it works for my kids. And I was talking to my husband this morning, and he's very left brain logical, but he gets this. He so gets this. He knows that he can hear how the conversation of what we're talking about activation, how it impacts my children when I'm telling them about it. And he hears how it eases up. It eases up the ego, and it gives my kids the space to create whatever they want, and to not have to worry about whether or not it's a good piece of art or a bad piece of art. It doesn't mean that they can't, and this is just little kids. There's so many layers of it, but art itself is exciting.
Yeah.
And
But
then,
it starts when they're little kids, because that's when it starts to get, when you're really small, you don't care. You just get crayons and you color and make things, and everything's just fun. And then as you start to get into your teens, it starts to get more serious. And and then you start like critiquing it, and is it good? Is it good enough? Is it, and putting meaning to everything.
and trying to figure it out. That's
Right,
and
trying to
that's
figure
where
it out.
that mind virus starts, as we try to figure out,
And
well,
judgment.
yeah, and judgment, and when did it stop? When did it start? When did my artwork become so lifeless, or when did my artwork take this turn, or I used to be a great artist, or why can't I do this? I mean, this is all the, mind clutter that keeps us from creating. And I think the big word is creation, because I'm making this big leap between art and entrepreneurism. There's a creative force that wants to be, that is using us as artists, as entrepreneurs, and my big work is to work with entrepreneurs. But it's so exciting to see how the creative process for an artist, starting a piece of a painting, finishing it, and actually shipping it, and allowing somebody else to appreciate it by purchasing it, is like,
Yeah.
that whole process can happen so quickly. Can happen so quickly for some artists, and for others maybe not. And for some artists, there's so much mind stuff that goes on with artwork that's reflected in the mind of an entrepreneur and with an artist. So I'm just excited to have that big conversation, the bigger conversation around how art reflects entrepreneurism, and how, as an entrepreneur, our work, just like an artist's work, activates the DNA, divine natural alignment in the people that are coded and called to work with us. And that's just another story. And it's exciting, because not everybody gets our artwork. Yeah, they're not coded for it. They're not. But if we don't get it out there in the world, then we may never know the impact of our own work. I mean, I just think of Van Gogh. I don't think that he was able to see other people appreciate his work, because that is the case for him. He died before anybody really started appreciating him. He's now one of the greatest artists of all time, so they say. He's one of the greatest, and he didn't know that about himself. And so the lesson in activation is that even if nobody does get you right now, know that your artwork activates. And whether or not it's activating right now in this generation or in another future generation like his did.
Right, because the people now might not be ready for it.
Right, exactly. And
But now people are ready for the activations that he had coded in his work, and now they're getting it.
And now they're getting it. And had he destroyed his work because he was frustrated, thank God he didn't, burn it all up. But he did self-portraits, and how did he did self-portraits, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did a few of them, and that's kind of powerful. And I always think that yours are all like I look at all your goddesses and I'm like, that's Kathy, that's Kathy. She's right
I'm
in
right in there.
there. I'm
I'm
like,
painting myself right in there.
I know. I think it's fascinating. Anyway, so I'm going to pull up this for everyone, and I'm taking the liberty to make this Empire Building Mastermind Hangout about art because
Okay.
it's just let
I
me
just read something interesting about Van Gogh this week. There was a video that was talking about it was like a TED Talk thing that somebody did about his work, and they were saying that um, he was able to show in paint something that, I can hear myself talking, that's so weird,
I can hear
the
it too, but that's
echo.
okay.
It was about the scientists are trying. One of the hardest things for them to explain is turbulence, and his paintings are like a visual expression of turbulence,
Wow.
and it's like mathematically. There's something about math, and I don't know, but luminosity, like luminance, how his paintings look like they're flickering because of the way he painted them. It's very cool. I'll have to send you the link to that video because it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, I think it's very
And they were saying that in his he painted the paintings that expressed that best when he was in his most turbulent times, like the times when he was having his real mental.
yeah, yeah, where he was feeling it, he was expressing
Yeah,
it.
he was having his real episodes.
Yeah.
His like psychotic episodes that he went through when he was painting during those was when he captured that turbulence really well and the luminescence. Because all his paintings don't have it, but some of them do.
Yeah, and this is going to be so see this because
Yep.
so there it is.
That's cool.
There you are. How nice is that? I'm going to put this up here. So this is the Art of Age. This is Kathy's sign up sheet. So if you go to Kathy Smith, it's a very easy name, .artivation.net. This is what you're going to find. So, I mean, and I worked so diligently to get these together, and they just talk a little bit about your art. And I love popping on her nose. Can you see that? How she just pops up? Isn't she beautiful? Oh, look, it's you. And then this one, I just think she's gorgeous too. Ah. So I've got that, and I did this for all of the artists. Well, not all of them. I still have two more to do, but I felt so happy just to get this done. And I think it's clean. It feels clean. It feels beautiful, and I think it represents your art. That was a little glimpse.
Thank you, John.
Did you see that? Did you see your artwork?
I did see it.
And I realized that I don't have your hand reader up there. Your gypsy girl. Did you want her on the?
Yeah. Well, she's not really finished yet.
If you're close to, well, the ones that you want to sell, and then if you have them ready for sale, you can give them to me. And then also if you just want me to talk about, I would love to talk about your gypsy because I think she's phenomenal.
Okay.
So that's my
She's right there.
I guess that's my
Behind
vote.
me.
Gosh, she's
Got
so
my back right now.
yeah, and she just is you. I just think that that's amazing how you can do that. Paint yourself into your paintings. Anyway, so I'm excited about this because you're doing this. You are a part of this, and Cindy Headley's a part of this, and people that I absolutely love. I've got one artist who is a part of this who I actually have a painting of hers in my kitchen. I've had it for maybe 8 or more years. I mean, I may have had this painting maybe 8 years. And her name is Cheryl Brown, and she just does amazing artwork. And I tell you, her art, and I knew that, and I even had emailed her about it when I first got it. Her This particular piece of art um, helped me stay focused and helped me really see myself in a very tunnel-like way. And her painting is called the Georgia Eye, so it's just a big circle, um, beautiful circle. But it activated this ability to focus for me. And so I have this in my kitchen. So when my kids are doing their homework, or if I need to work in there, it helps activate this focus. And you would think that on the kitchen table there's lots of distractions, but there's something about this piece of art in my kitchen table, like right by my kitchen table, that activates this ability to focus in an environment that may be more, scattered because there's things going on in there.
That's cool.
So she's a part of it, and I'm really excited about being able to use my gifts and my talents to help other people see, the magic in their own artwork, and to see how not just those artists, but even, our coaching programs, our healing work, our if you make a table, for crying out loud, your husband made a table. I wonder what kind of activations that has. I mean, and it just different things, like they have the like codes of different purposes. And a table is like a solid centerpiece. Like it's designed to activate gathering. A table, like all tables are designed to have for people to gather around. And imagine like your husband creating a table for his own family, his own wife, and how activating that is to kind of keep things together. I
Yeah,
don't know. I just think it's kind of fun.
it is. And every time you look at it, you think, he made that for me. That's nice.
Oh, what a great guy. What a great guy. Um, so, what else is going on? Because we have a couple, I don't even know what time it is. I'm having a hard time looking at my clock today.
12:45.
Wow, it's 12:45 already. And I'll get off of here. I don't want to stay on like the whole hour if we don't need it.
Can I say one more thing about the activation thing?
Yes, absolutely.
This is really good, you doing this, and I really appreciate this, because it's something that's like not terribly threatening, but it's getting moving to actually doing something with my art, because it's starting to fill up my walls, and I can't. There's no more space in here. Some of it needs to move out into the world,
Yeah.
but this is giving me like a reason to get out there and get my Fine Art America page set up, and get things put on there, get my Facebook page set up, start moving into the entrepreneurial segment of it.
Yeah. And there's no reason well, there are artists who absolutely know that, and people who know that they're not, that they get enough, we'll just say they get enough value by seeing their work being enjoyed. Um, so there's a different, I mean, I can just kind of talk about if that is not your driving force, if you really have this, like understanding that, oh my gosh, my art can add value in a monetary way to people and activate something amazing in them, then, find somebody to help you do, like, find an artivation, find a gallery that you can put your stuff in, so it's more visible, because the more people that see that artwork, the more activated they are. And art people who buy art, they buy it because it makes them feel a certain way. So this is what I love about the whole art community anyways, is because it's full of people who see the value in the thing that they really want. They invest in it because they want it, because they understand it makes them feel a certain way, which is the activation, as opposed to thinking, oh, I should, well, and there's still art buyers that do this, but I should buy this because it would because my brother would think it's cool, or because of the value it might have, 40
Lots of
years down
people
the
are collecting this artist's work, so if I buy
Yeah.
it now, in 5 years it'll be worth.
Right. And if that's the motivation for buying, then and you as an artist have no responsibility for that at all. Just trust that, the right people, the people, and there's going to be something I talk about on the webinar about this topic too. I won't go into it now because I don't want to, give it away. But that understanding that you're activating something in somebody else, and that what does that activation feel? It really does feel like interest. Like, I'm interested in your artwork. I'm so interested in your artwork, Kathy, that I love sharing it with the world. And I understand that somebody is going to be truly activated by it. And well, there's like your work activates lots of different things, but to feel that synergy between somebody's interested in what I'm doing, not because they are trying to fill a hole in their life, but because they appreciate themselves enough to invest in a work of art. This is where we want to be with our businesses, This is where we really want to be. We want to be attracting the kind of client who, says, I appreciate myself enough. I see the value in myself enough that I'm going to invest in myself through the work, through the coach, the mentor, the program that fills my appreciation, that matches my appreciation for myself. I mean, if we can do this, this is like the big shift. I mean, I'm wanting to shift this boat. I want to be a part of this, getting the awareness of how do we find that value, that authentic value where our sense of who we are is matched with what we're investing in. And this is where abundance truly is. This is really living in abundance, when you're investing in things that you are interested in. Would they match your sense of self-worth and self-value? And I know I've been in been in places before where I've invested in things that I thought I should invest in for a lot of money. And I thought, well, this is, the next logical step. And even though I didn't feel that, interested in the program, or thinking that, I feel that attraction to the work that I was investing in, you walk away and you're like, was that a waste of money or not? You'll never feel that way when you buy something out of that sense of appreciating yourself and knowing that what you're investing in, you're investing because you are so full of that sense of, I know who I am and I'm interested in this program and I'm going to buy it, or this piece of art or whatever it is, and I'm going to buy it because it makes me feel good. I feel good about it. And there, so that whole sales conversation becomes inspired, enlightening, and it's not about the gap between where you are and where the person wants to be. It's about the magic, the synergy that brought you together. And that's the conversation that I want to be in. So, with business. Any other thoughts, Kathy? You've got, if you want to register, and I'm seeing how many people register for the different artists, because everybody's got their own little name, their own little subdomain. So, kathysmith.artivation.net if you want to register for Kathy's. Register for the webinar from Kathy's page. You can do that. And if you just want to go to the generic artivation.net, you can see a generic webinar registration page there. It'll take you to the same place. .net. I couldn't get .com. I don't know who has it, but I have .net. And it will be fun, and I'm hoping to get, my goal is to get exposure for the artist, to help people understand how art and work and life and people and human beings activate DNA, like real. It can be physical DNA, but if you can just think of it in terms of it activating, it turns people on. Like you're being turned on when you're activated. Just think of it as like the lights went on and you get to see who you really are. That's what I'm excited about. And that's what I'm up to this week.
That's fun.
So, and I've got so I don't know what else to say. You have any other questions about art, about your work, about getting
Well,
yourself?
I can't wait to hear all the DNA, all the stuff my art activates.
Yeah, and all of them activate something different. And I think once you start thinking in terms of activation, because it's a thinking that turns a switch on to this feeling where you can feel yourself being activated, and
I was just going to say, when I look at my paintings, I can feel things. Like I feel like the Bluebird girl, she feels like something.
Yeah. And all the art that's what art's supposed to do. It's supposed to make you, I mean, it's not supposed to, but a piece of art activates you if it makes you feel something. I mean, that's all you have to do is does it make you feel something and not disgusted? Because there's, like there's artwork that will make you feel disgusted that will make somebody else feel
not grossed out or
grossed out. Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's artists that are in it for the shock effect, but that shock effect for somebody who is activated by shock, it's going to be a perfect match for them. But when we're really connected to who we are, we're feeling our bodies, and all you have to do is look at art. Go to any art museum and you will feel the different energy of every painting. And it's a great exercise in feeling yourself, because it takes away the judgment about who we are and who's feeling the feelings. It's probably one of the best exercises in understanding yourself as a feeling being as opposed to a thinking person. If you can suspend your judgment, like of whether the painting's good or bad. So, yep. Oh, I'm excited. I feel like it's a big win. Even just getting it off the launch pad just feels like a gigantic win for me, and for the artist. And once people sign up for the artivation.net, the webinar, they get an email immediately that shows all the different artists, and you can link to each one of their registration pages, which shows their art and there's links there that you can see their other art. Well, Kathy's doesn't have her other links yet, but she might have them up there soon.
I have to work on that this week.
Yeah, and do you have
all my links?
Yeah, and anyways, but just just go there, check it out. If people are watching, just check it out. It's a new conversation. It's not the same conversation that people have about DNA activation that I've heard of and that I understand, because it's not so woo-woo, but it is, like you get it. People get it. People understand, because you feel a different way when you're around certain people, so you know that there's something that they activate. And that's when you get in that vibe and you start walking around Earth, you know where your value is, you know the things that are valuable to you, and you just start living a more magical life. And for me, it's about the magic. Seeing it, finding it, feeling it. Yep. Being it, be the magic. Find out more about how, artist work activates DNA. Yeah. So,
Cool.
All right. And I'm going to get off here. Love you so much, Kathy. Thanks for popping and sharing the day. Yay.
I had you all to myself today. That's
I know.
unusual.
And I got to feature your artwork, which was really fun.
Thank you.
I don't, I'll make sure I put that link up on I think there's an event page for today's. I'll put that link up so people can actually see it and register if they want. So, all right. Love you. See you later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.